Good afternoon. Unconditional Love 17. Cathar Gnosticism is an offshoot of Christian Gnosticism. Just as Gnosticism influenced Judaism, Islam and Christianity, so those Abrahamic faiths, those great faiths, also influenced Gnosticism. But today I want to get right down to the very basics of what is Gnostic thought. What is the philosophy of Gnosticism? Because if you have, as I have, read so many scholarly books, reports, YouTube, on the web, outpourings on Gnostic philosophy, well, it's somewhat confusing. It's a little bit like that stanza from the Great Abrahamic Creeds. When I was young, I did oft frequent doctor and saint, and heard great argument about this and about that, but evermore came out the same door as in I went. In other words, it just gets so confusing, goes through one ear and out the other, which is a pity. So, as a Gnostic, practicing Gnostic, I thought today I would just divide up what's the basic difference, keeping things right to their very essentials, to their various essences. But before doing so, I'd like to recount a Chinese. It's a story about a Chinese story about the fair magistrate. It's quite amusing, but I need this point that he illustrates. And it seems that there was this impoverished student who lived above a restaurant, and all he could afford was not even rice, just noodles, and he just only had so many noodles each day. He was very poor. But what he managed to do was, he actually went above this area, above the restaurant where his room was, where these scents of flavours and smells and aromas wafted up from the restaurant below. And as he imbibed these aromas, he was able to eat his noodles and get them down. Very plain fare. But the restaurant owner heard about this, and he thought, hey, hang on, he's stealing my aromas. So he sued him, took him to court, and they both had to front the fair magistrate. Not fair in appearance, although he possibly was, but he was fair in his when he handed down his sentences. Anyhow, the plaintiff, the restaurant owner, said, look, he said, there's this student below, and he's eating his noodles, but he's smelling the aromas from my food every day. I want recompense, I want payment. And then the judge said, yeah, I can understand that, yes. And he said to the student, he said, look, he said, have you any money? And the student, yes, and he pulled out a small little bag with a few pennies in it, a few cents. And the magistrate said, look, he said, would you shake that bag? And the student, he shook the bag, ding, ding, dang, dang, ding, dang, dang, dang. So he said to the restaurateur, now, my good man, he said, he smelt your smells, and you have heard his money. Case dismissed. Fair. So, harking back to the difference between the great faiths, the Abrahamic faiths, because they all had their point of origin from Abraham. There's a number of things, there's plenty of things they fight over, even kill over, but there are a number of theological, philosophical points that they agree upon. One is that we have no choice upon our creation. We're simply created. Another is that the Abrahamic faiths, the great faiths, you have one life, one shot at life. Another is that if you are good, you'll go to heaven or paradise. If you don't obey the laws of that particular faith or whatever those beliefs, you're wicked, you will be punished in hell or the equivalent. The end result of this is that that particular deity's love is conditional. It's conditional on you, on that life that you haven't chosen, on you living the good life or the bad life. So it's conditional on you being a good girl or a good boy or a good man or a good woman. The Gnostic, same thing. We have no choice in the fact that we are created. Oh, one thing with the great faiths, another important issue is that they all agree upon is that their particular deity is a personal God, that as a human we can relate to that God. It has a human aspect as we can understand it. Heading back now to the Gnostics. Yes, we're chosen we have no choice in the fact that we are created, but the source or the creator that created the individual, the soul, the divine spark, he says, or it's the idea is that particular soul, that divine spark, will live successive lifetimes until they perfect themselves, become enlightened, and be returned to the source. So there's no need of salvation, because from the very start you are saved, because that particular creator, as though you're a loving object of that creator, and that creator wants you to return, but a return in a perfected state. So the other thing that separates a Gnostic is that whereas the God of the great faiths created the universe, the world, the Gnostics say no, there was a breakaway, a light, a divinity, an artificer that actually created the materialistic world as we know it. So this in essence is the difference between the Abrahamic faiths and the Gnostic faith. So in both cases we have a situation where a child didn't ask to be created, and in this case it has one shot at existence, and it either through the goodness or the wickedness of its life it's going to go one direction or the other. Whereas to the Gnostic, that the source created all, there's a breakaway, we're all created, but we all will return, we all will be reunited with the source, even though it might take thousands of lifetimes until we learn to perfect ourselves, that is, we learn to live as loving individuals, harming nobody and respecting all. So if we had the fair magistrate and we put it to him, there's the two basic systems. Which of those two systems, considering that child didn't ask to be created in the first place, which of these two systems, which by the way I think we all agree upon, which of these two systems do you think is fair, just and reasonable, and is the other unfair, unjust and unreasonable? Gnostics throughout the ages, because it is so varied, you're open to any and every manner of thinking. Of course, Gnostics do not agree, just as those of the great faiths do not agree. But of the things that I outlined, I think you will find that those of the great faiths, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they agree upon those points and I think you'll find that Gnostics, because that's just pure Gnosticism, will agree upon those points. So there's the two basic systems laid out in front, and so we leave it up to to old China and the fair magistrate in China to give us his decision on what he feels is the one that he would choose. On that note, today I'll bid you adieu once again. Bye for now.